I hope that we can all be like you when we get to 99 and that we get to 99. In fact.
If we get there.
And I guess you're waiting for a letter from the King sometime soon. When's the big 100? Hey, I'm Ange.
And I'm Beck.
And we are the Gold Diggers because we believe there's gold found in everyone.
Everyone is unique, interesting and exciting with a great story to share.
And we aim to find it.
The question is, can we rise to the challenge and strike gold? Stay tuned to find out as we chat to today's mystery guest.
Honey, you're my sugar.
So this is how it works. One of us knows who the mystery guest is and the other one doesn't. And today it's Angela's turn to find the gold in our mystery guest, Dorothy Moore. Welcome to the show, Dorothy.
Thank you.
I feel weird calling you Dorothy because your name's Grandma to me.
Well, I was going to say, because you said Moore, and obviously that's your surname.
Yes. So I'm giving away something right here. Grandma is... your grandma. Great-grandma.
Your great-grandma.
On my husband's side.
Wow.
Yes.
Welcome, Dorothy. So nice to meet you. I can't wait to get all the dirt from you on what it's like
to know me.
In your family. Yeah, do you know what, though? Before you send me out the room, because I know you're going to give me some little tips.
Yeah.
I want to say, because obviously you've got your great-grandma here.
Yeah.
And since our last episode, which was last week at Caviar and Cactus, we talked about you becoming a grandma.
How funny is that?
And have we got some news to share?
I'm a grandma and I got grandma here. Yes. Yes, we do. So the day we did the Caviar and Cactus, that very night, Bree's waters broke.
Yeah.
But she didn't have the baby that night. She had it on Friday, just after Summer graduated grade 12.
I know. Well, congratulations to you both.
Yes.
Yeah, so that makes Grandma a great-grandma.
Great-grandma.
Yes. So that's how many generations? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations.
5.
Yes?
5. That's amazing. So does that put you in a certain age bracket?
Do you want to know?
Grandma has
99.
just had a birthday.
99?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. That's amazing. And you look so lovely and healthy and well.
As of last week. Was it?
Thank
14th, yes.
Well, congratulations to you and congratulations, Beck.
Thank you, Anne.
And I know you said that you're probably going to have a 2-week break between Summer's graduation and you becoming a grandma. And how long was it?
Maybe 6 hours. And I also said, by the time this airs, I may even have a grandbaby by then. And it was like not even a couple of days later and I was a grandma.
So what did you have?
Oh, she had a little boy and his name is Max Malachi Moore. And we actually have his namesake here. Max is sitting in this studio with us today.
Yes.
And so is Meredith. And so Max is my husband's father and the son of Grandma. So he would be the baby's great-grandfather. Yes. So we have
my head's spinning already.
In the room with us today, we have a great-great-grandmother, a great-grandmother and great-grandfather, a grandmother. That sounds so weird. That's me. And you're a mum.
I'm a mum.
Yeah. Dave might be a child. No, Dave's a dad.
No, he hasn't grown up yet. Definitely. Okay, so it's a family affair today, which means I should probably head out the room and you can introduce Dorothy.
Okay.
Right.
See you, Ange. So, Grandma, now that Ange is out of the room, we can tell our audience all about you. Now, I am so excited to have you in the studio with us today because you are one of my most favourite people in the whole world. And you're the matriarch of the whole Moore family. And so you have 4 sons. How many grandchildren do you have?
I've got 15 grandchildren. And 30 great-grandchildren and 7, I think it is, great-greats.
So 15 grandchildren, 30 great-grandchildren and 7 great-great-grandchildren.
Yes.
That is amazing. there are not many people who can say that they have great-great-grandchildren, are there?
No, I guess not.
No. And speaking of babies, now I was married into your family, but when I was a baby, you nursed me.
I certainly did.
Isn't that incredible?
And now you're married to my grandson,
Yes, Tony.
Tony. It's just shows how the world goes around.
Isn't that amazing? Like,
Yes.
who would have, like my mum and dad, when they visited you when I was a baby, would never have thought that one day I'd be your granddaughter.
Never.
It's amazing. But you've welcomed me into this family as if I'm true blood granddaughter, and I really love that about this family. And I really love you, Grandma. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
That's reciprocal.
Yeah. So, Grandma, the gold I see in you is that you are a very steadfast, loving woman who has such a big heart for such a big family. And the fact that you have so many children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, and you pray every single day for every single one of us. Mm-hmm. And that's amazing. And being 99 and seeing all that you have, and just having this such love for everyone and still going strong. And I love how we can sit down and have a laugh and have a conversation like we're best friends. And that's something really, really special. Mm. So let's bring Ange in and we can dig out some more gold.
Honey, you're my sugar.
She's all yours.
I know, I've been thinking about what's a good question for you. First question. And I think 99, you've lived like 10 decades. So which decade would you say has been your favourite and why?
Well, the best one for me was probably the first, because I was 2 and my husband, whom I didn't know at that time would be, eventually my husband, was 9. So there are 7 years difference between the pair of us. My husband's parents were Salvation Army officers stationed in Gympie. My mum and dad lived in Rockhampton, and Dad was in the railway. He was transferred to Brisbane to, he was transferred to Brisbane. And that's where I met, we really first met. I was 2, Eric was 9.
Wow.
And our association just grew from there. We went on holidays together. We did all sorts of things together. And eventually, of course, Eric and I got married in 1944.
So at what point did you, because you would have been friends, I'm assuming, first. So at what
Well, we're
point?
always friends. But my husband had a very bad accident when he was 21. He was fishing with a mate, his mate was throwing out his, as they used to do in the old days, throw the line around. The wind caught it, ripped through my husband's eye and through half his eye. He was only 21 at the time, and he's such a brave man. He folded up the fishing line in his hand, and he drove about 3 kilometres on a road on his bike to the doctor. And
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
3 kilometres
that was
with a missing
incredible.
eye.
Did he lose his eye?
Oh yes,
Wow.
he had an artificial eye, but no one would. I guess you wouldn't even have known.
No, not until Tony told me.
There are people, friends who've been close friends for years, never ever knew that Eric had an artificial eye.
Wow.
And
So was it around 21 when you thought, he's going to be my husband, or was it before then?
Not at all. He came, when that accident happened, he came from the hospital and stayed at our home. It wasn't a few years after that we start thinking, I presume.
Dating.
Yes.
Yeah.
So were your family looking after him were they, when he came to live with you?
Yeah, they always came. His mum and dad were, as I said before, Salvation Army officers at Murwillumbah at the time, and they used to pop up to us. We lived in Brisbane. Eric was staying there with us during his recuperation. And, no, our families have always been very close.
Yes.
You almost didn't make it when you were born, though, did you, Grandma?
That's true.
Yes.
Well, when I was born, I was 3 pound, but the doctor, they saw no movement in the cord. They threw me down the bottom of the bed, but my mum's midwife, who happened to be her sister-in-law, saw a little flicker in the cord, and she worked on me, and I was 3 pound, fit in a shoebox, I believe,
Right.
and was fed on condensed milk, and I love it to this day. I can just, I can tip a tin of condensed milk up and just swallow the
Do
lot.
we still sell condensed
The
milk?
boys,
We do,
my family will tell you, if I had a cup of coffee or tea, it's got to have condensed milk in it.
Isn't
My
it funny?
nana
'Cause-
was the same.
Yeah.
I just remember the taste because she just loved condensed milk. It
I
must
love
have
it.
been like a really popular thing back then.
Yeah, and if today you told a mother to give her newborn condensed milk,
Yeah, no.
they'd probably just flip it.
But clearly you've survived a long time.
So there
They
you
can
go.
Can't
Based on
survive on
condensed
condensed milk. There's a short advertisement for condensed
Yeah.
milk.
Yeah. So there you go.
So at what age did you get married?
I was 19.
You were 19. And how old was your husband?
No, so 26.
Okay.
Yes. We were married in the Salvation Army City Temple in Brisbane,
Yeah.
and lived there. Went from there to Rockhampton, where Eric was working. We lived there, had our 4 boys there, and moved to Brisbane in 1956, and lived down here ever since.
Beautiful. Good choice. So you had 4 boys. One of whom is here today.
Maxie.
Yes.
So Max, where does Max come? Is he eldest, youngest?
Max is my eldest.
Yeah,
yes.
He keeps
And,
everyone in line, don't you?
And very precious. I must say this, I had 4 boys, no girls, but had lovely daughter-in-laws,
Oh.
and I always appreciated my daughter-in-laws. They've been very good to me, especially the one that's here with us today.
Meredith.
Meredith looks
Yeah.
after me, probably.
That's important, isn't
Well, it is very important.
Yeah.
Very
It's very
special.
important.
Mm.
And she seems to know my needs and my
it?
wants.
You've been very blessed by
I-
the sounds of it.
Exactly. I have been more than blessed.
Yes. So
Yes.
what was it like having 4 young boys to raise?
Look, I think I preferred it to having 4 girls. I have no problem whatsoever. My boys got on very well together. There was 2 years difference between the first 3, and then 10 between David and Raymond.
Yeah.
But no, I had no problems with the boys. Mind, they had their little ways of doing things, and always seemed to be able to amuse themselves, make their own toys. They'd have probably a piece of wood, and that's a car. And in those days, that's the sort of things they did.
Yeah.
You know, I remember we had a big half tank, and my boys were inside of this tank wheeling it down the street. You know, they got up to some really big antics, actually. You know, but
Can't believe
I
that.
remember. Well, I remember on one occasion.
Can't believe your boys being
we'd been
mischievous
to
at
the
all.
exhibition, and the kids had seen all the ring events, and one of the ring events was someone lying down on the ground and this car coming, going over, go over it, driving over it, taking a leap. The next thing, this is what's happening in my back.
Oh, no.
And Max has got Barry lying there.
Did it work?
I don't know if he remembers it, but yes.
You must have had to have a lot of sense of humour.
And Barry's still alive, so obviously the car didn't land on him.
Yes.
Well, Tony, your husband loves cars.
Oh, yes. And he's got himself up to
Did it go down the next generation, Beck?
Pretty much, yeah. All the more kids, you got to keep an eye on them. They're busy little things.
So you've obviously seen many decades of family in your family, and so there's different parenting techniques that have come in as the decades have gone. How different do you think it is now in parenting to how you were raising your family?
That's a good question, because some parents, I believe, are interested in the way their kids behave, and others, I think, couldn't care less. They're only interested in what they want to do themselves, and that's evidence where you see kids today. Their parents are working, mum's at school at work when they come home from school, and they're running willy-nilly and getting into all sorts of trouble. So that yes, and then there are those parents who are very careful about what their children are doing of an afternoon.
Because it was very different in your age. Was it very much where you stayed at home and raised your family?
I always raised my family. I had no one to look after them.
Yeah.
I did that myself, yes.
Yeah. That would have been a lot with 4 boys.
Yes, but it's paid off.
It has.
And they adore you, Grandma. The whole family does.
Well, as I said before, it's reciprocal.
Yeah.
So you're 99 years old, Dorothy, and you look to me to be in really fine health. And so what would be your secrets to a healthy life?
Well, first of all, the Lord has been looking after me all my life.
Yeah.
When I was born, I was 6 weeks old. My mum took me long to be dedicated, Beck, which I don't know whether you realise what dedication means, but I was dedicated back to the Lord at 6 weeks of age, and at 8 years of age I gave my heart to the Lord in an after-school meeting. In those days, you might have a special, Salvation Army, or probably other churches too, had specials come for the weekend, and on this particular weekend there was a special there, and they were running after-school meetings, and we used to get a good response too. And it was one of those after-school meetings. I was 8, and I gave my heart to the Lord.
Yeah.
And I've tried to serve him ever since. I have failed many, many, many times, but he's been faithful, and that's been the main thing.
And you obviously have a really wonderful family.
I have a wonderful family.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of my family.
Yeah.
And
it seems like they're proud of you as well, and that you've blessed them a lot in their life.
Well, we're a family. We're a great family, and unfortunately, you don't see a lot of families now who are close. But I think ours is a unique one.
So, what are your tips then to have a close family, to keep your families close through the generations?
I think you need to have a lot to do with each other, confide in each other, share each other's burdens, and, take on the workload.
Yeah. Be the support to one another. That's family, isn't it?
Yes.
We've had many times where everyone's got in and helped build a house, renovate a house, fix a car.
Amazing.
Incredible.
I think probably in the generation where you grew up, you were taught in the home a lot more about respecting your elders, And the question I asked you earlier about how society has changed and parenting has changed, I feel sad that I think we've lost a little bit of that in our modern world now. And it was really important. And I think they're really great values that help that connectedness for families through the generation, is to understand respect.
Well, respect, I think, was the number one priority in those days. Unfortunately, I've seen it go downhill so much now. But you would no more think of being disrespectful to your elders than fly to the moon. But now, the kids, it amazes me the things that they do and say and get away with it, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm in my 40s now, and I think I've learnt a few things in life, as we do as we age. And there's things I think I wish I'd learnt that from my parents, or I'd take more notice of that from my parents, because now I'm kind of sitting in the seat that they were sitting in at the time. I think I can understand a lot more now. And that's probably a similar thing for you, looking back to your parents. So were there some things that you think, oh, I wished I'd learnt from them or taken more notice?
I think you'll find that the kids of today are, they've learned a few things probably from my generation.
Yeah.
And, yes, well,
So what did you learn from the generation above you, from your parents' generation? What were the things that you would have learnt from them?
Well, self-respect and mainly respect for everybody else.
Yeah.
And we'd no more think of backslacking our parents, talking back to them, or things, or to other people for that matter,
Yeah.
Different age altogether.
Yes, it's true. So you've been around a long time, Dorothy. What have you done in that time? That you've enjoyed? Is it travel? Have you,
Yes,
what are some of the things that have brought you great enjoyment?
We've cruised. I've been away. First of all, we were my first time away was with Max and Meredith. We had a great time there on a cruise. Went on a cruise, done camping holidays together. Max always had a van, and we've always enjoyed each other's company. All through the family.
Yes.
It's all been the same.
Can I ask a quick question? I'm really interested to know how you've coped with technology changes throughout the century. So let's go back to, you're born 1924, and washing machines. What's the first recollection of a washing machine?
There wasn't a washing machine then. Mum used to boil the old copper up out in the backyard,
Yeah.
And you'd have the copper stick. Have you heard the copper stick?
No.
Well, it was a long stick that you'd be lifting the clothes in and out of the thing,
So it was a big pot. When you say the old copper out the back, is it like a big copper pot? Is that what it looked like? Or?
Well, it was a copper pot.
Yeah.
And there was a fire under it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you boiled stuff up in that.
Yeah.
And then you would put that into we had 3 sets of tubs, rinsing tubs,
Yeah.
One I think, if I remember correctly, you had a bit of blue in it. Remember the old Ricketts blue? You wouldn't remember that. There you go.
I'm nodding that no, I don't actually.
Okay. It was a little knob of blue, and it's supposed to make the washing white.
Right.
Whether it did or not, I don't know.
So it didn't make it blue.
But, well, it didn't make it blue, that was for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of imagine, for now we have disposable nappies and life is so much more convenient as parents. But I can imagine you scrubbing and washing,
We had the old scrubbing board,
Yeah.
It had all these runs across, scrub it up and down.
Yeah.
Or even using a scrubbing brush on a board,
Yeah.
And
it just must have been so time consuming.
There was the first that was the wash. and then the next rinse, and then the final rinse.
Yeah.
Out and then
So
the
did you
clothesline.
just spend all day washing
Oh yes.
with 4 kids?
Yeah. Oh. Oh, terrible. I used to hate it. And I used to, all due respects to my mother-in-law, but she was a fusspot. And and I used to absolutely hate washing with her for the first part of my, we'd been married, I think, and then I fell pregnant with Max, and then we decided that we'd go and live down with Eric's people.
Yeah.
And on wash day, I used to just dread it because she was such a pedantic person.
You missed a
Good old
spot.
But then when we got married, it was still the copper. I was still boarding the copper thing when I first got married.
Yeah.
Eventually, we got a washing machine. It was a single little... just a little single one with the winder on the side,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then went to the twin tub.
Yeah.
Hoover, I think they were Hoover brands. And
I bet you were so excited when the electric washing machines came in.
Oh, look, excited about everything because we saw times when you had to put orders in for a refrigerator. You had to wait years, probably 12 months, before your name came up to the top of the thing,
Yeah, wow.
And a washing machine. There were all these things you had to could have kind of put on lay-by in a sense, but they weren't there to start with.
What did irons look like? When you were doing the tub washing, what was the first iron?
Another thing.
Yeah.
The irons, some of the irons you had to heat up on the stove.
Yeah.
With a handle, put them on the stove, and the handle would fit there, and then take that off, and then you'd change it. There'd be another one heating up while you're doing.
Wow.
Then I saw the ones come in with the electric cords, and
isn't it incredible to think
and the presses and.
You would have also been alive during the Second World War as well, wouldn't you?
What?
During the war, you would have been alive.
Yeah.
How did that impact you over here?
Oh, well, see, we lived at none, but there was no... There was troops around us, but my brother went to the war. I can't really remember a real lot of those early war days, I know we had coupons.
Yeah, like the rations.
Everything, yeah.
Was it a frightening
time? A pound
time?
of butter had to have a coupon.
Yeah. Was it a frightening time for people in Australia? Did they feel threatened here in Australia or not so much?
I think we were threatened here, all right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was quite frightening.
Yeah. We see, Dad was in essential work, and so he didn't go. My brother went to the war, George, he went to the war, and the other brother was in essential services, making firearms and all that sort of stuff, so he didn't go. But actually, I don't think we were affected that much, and personally in our own home,
Yeah. So it didn't impact Eric in any way? He would have been too young, was he?
I think I was around about 12, 14, probably somebody other responsibility. They had the responsibility of all that,
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, you've certainly lived through many seasons and decades and watched the world evolve.
Yeah, I've got to stop and think these days of different things at different places and things that took place at different times,
Yeah.
And we never ever had a car, never had a car, and because Dad was in the railway, we always travelled by train.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason why I'm very methodical on timekeeper. If I say I'm going to be there at a certain time, I'll be there at that time, because we had to be. You're no good getting to the train after the thing was pulling out of the station.
Yeah.
You know, we had to be on time for everything.
Yeah.
I had to be on time for school, to go to school.
I'm suddenly feeling very guilty now because I turned up late this morning. You're very kindly telling me off right now, Dorothy.
No. I've gone too far, I suppose.
No. Actually, I know what you mean about being on time for a train, because when I was first married, I had to catch a train to my work on the other side of Brisbane, and we lived across the road from a train station.
Yes.
Actually, we lived in between two train stations, and some mornings I was running out as the train was hitting the train station up the end. I knew I'd miss it, so I'd bolt to the next train station.
Hold on. Wait a minute, Beck, you were running?
I know. I was young then. But Tony would stand out the front laughing at me. I'm like, can you just drive me?
Well,
but no, he had to go to work too.
If Max or I was able to speak here today, he would tell you on incidences of Dad. The train he was almost dragged into the into the cards van every morning and running late for the train, you know. Yes.
Jump on the back.
Yeah, so it did teach you to be on time.
Yeah, no one's waiting for you, are they?
No, time waits for no man.
That's right.
It's funny
So
because
when would you say was the most fun period of your life?
Oh, dear. Yeah, when we started going to eat with each other, I think, was the best time.
Dating?
Dating. And then ours was rather a strange association there, because Eric lived in Rockhampton, I lived in Brisbane. So every Friday night I would go up to the post office at Nunda, and Eric would be there at 9 o'clock, and he would ring me every Friday night. Then he'd just fly down once every 3 months to see me. So that was how we dated, you know.
It's so different today because, like, everyone carries their phones everywhere, but you had to travel to the post office to make a phone call once a week.
And I was never ever afraid of the dark either, you know.
Yeah.
And we lived probably a good kilometre and a half from the post office at night, you know. It wasn't...
I think dating back then was so much more special, though, than perhaps now, because of that reason that you said, Beck, because like to actually spend time together takes a lot of effort and planning, and it's purposeful, you know, whereas now so much is so instant. It's almost like we can take it for granted. But it would have been so much more special probably back then to have got that time together. Even writing, things like writing letters. I just think that would have been so special.
Well, we were writing letters all the time too, you know.
Yeah.
I had all these love letters, and but that was the main thing, was every Friday night was our conversation.
Yeah.
Up at me at the Nunda post office, the Neck at Rocky, and then once in every month he flew down to see me, or you know, or I'd go up there.
Yeah,
but,
beautiful. So when would you say was the most challenging time of your life?
My husband built our first home in Rockhampton. Beautiful little home it was, and during the war years, it wasn't an easy matter to get timber or stuff like that, but Eric's father had a contact and was able to get lots of stuff, help us in that way. But we were years building that house, and it had a beautiful kitchen in it, beautiful, fancy. Eric was a real fancy man, like, you know. Not a fancy man as such.
Now we're getting to the truth, Dorothy.
Anything he did, it was perfection.
Yeah.
Plus, we built that house, and it wasn't long before we finished, when he finished the house, that we'd come to Brisbane, sold it, came to Brisbane, you know.
So it took you a long time to build the house.
Oh, yes.
And then you sold it and moved. Is that what you're saying?
We moved from Rocky to Brisbane then.
Yeah.
Often when the kids go back up there, they go and see the house. So it's still standing. And
Wow.
yes.
Made well.
Yeah.
And back in those days, you would have, so was Eric involved in the whole build process? He got on the tools, did he?
Yeah, they're all those hand tools, no fancy drills and all that sort of stuff today.
He built it all, didn't he?
It was a very hard road to.
It's interesting that you've just shared that story, Dorothy, because I know Beck and Tony have a very similar story to that of building their own house, and Max, I think you were involved in that as well.
Yeah, and Max built his own home too. So it
seems to be a family tradition to build your own home.
Well, they all followed their father's footsteps, I think.
Yeah.
You know, he taught them a lot of things that they, and I think they would admit that today. They learned a lot of stuff from their dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big thing to take on building your own home, but you've obviously shown that it's possible.
Well, you know, when you're not a carpenter to start with, and no, it was a big thing, a great big thing, and I think our ground cost us about £13.
Wow.
For the piece of ground.
Prices have changed since then.
Yeah. No.
£13.
Yeah.
Were you in pounds back then?
Pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We, the piece of ground that we bought was quite handy, like to school and so forth, you know. We were very fortunate there. But then it's starting from scratch, and I don't know, but Eric had a thing about bay windows. And he made our bay window, which was a specialty. And what he did was he had started with a piece of fibrillite, and every afternoon when he came home from work, he would raise the end, saturate that fibrillite, and raise it up on either end with a brick until he eventually got the shape of this bay window.
Amazing.
It absolutely was amazing.
Yeah, to learn those skills.
And it was a real feature of the house.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
It's
lovely.
good that you can still visit that and drive by that. That'd be great for your family and your great grandkids to be able to see that.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. You mentioned school. I'm interested to know, what was school like for you?
Well, school, we went to in Gympie. We used to have to walk quite a few miles to Gympie, to school in Gympie.
Wow.
And when we came to Gympie, we came down to Brisbane. I went to the Nunda State School. I went to Brisbane Girls Grammar School, and that was it. Then got married.
Grandma was very intelligent. She could have gone to university easily. You could have gone to university. You were very intelligent, weren't you?
I don't know, Brick.
Yeah.
But anyhow, look.
She is intelligent. And a librarian, weren't you?
I'm very happy with my life.
Yes. I can see that. You've had a very fruitful life. You've got a wonderful family.
Fruitful.
So, Ange, with such a wealth of information over so many years, are you ready to reveal some gold?
Yeah, Dorothy, I love to hear the journey from where you began to where you are now. And there's been so many events in your life that have happened. But the thing that I think I see the most about you is just absolute contentment. Like, you've reached this place of great contentment in your life, but I can see that you were in that place even in every season in your life, to reflect back on how you met your husband, and it all seems so fresh still, that they were the best times of your life. And it's obviously brought you great joy. even while you were living those moments. I think that's such a key for all of us when we live our life, is to approach it with joy and contentment and gratitude for what we have in our life. You've obviously prioritized family, and it's brought you so many great rewards in your life that it's paying you now because they're all looking after you.
Yes.
And I think that's
true.
so wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us and sharing your wisdom with us. I hope that we can all be like you when we get to 99, and that we get to 99.
If you get there.
And I guess you're waiting for a letter from the king sometime soon. When's the big 100? When we were 60 years married, we got this lovely turnout from the Queen, a beautiful photo of her. Aww.
And, messages from people all over Australia, like people, dignitaries, from all over Australia. I don't know who instigated that, but...
that's very special.
Yeah, so I'm not really interested in getting anything from the king.
Fair enough, Grandma, fair enough.
Would you have if the Queen was still alive?
Yes, the only thing that he and I share are the same birth date.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow. And Grandma is still very much on social media, aren't you? You're a regular visitor to Facebook, aren't you?
Yes,
and
I do.
Keeping up with everything.
That's quite. I find that fascinating. Like for you to be able to do that. A lot of people your age would really struggle with technology, but you seem to have grasped it and taken hold of it.
Well, I don't know whether this is of any interest or not, but every day in the Salvation Army, we have songs of inspiration and blessing. I do this every day. I take this song and I send it out. It touches lots of lives. I've had 191 people say that they've been blessed by them, and
I love that Grandma's
So
collecting all
that.
her likes, counting all her likes and all her comments,
I do that all.
sharing all your posts. Amazing.
Yeah. But that's just one way that I feel that I can be a servant of the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still blessing people, Grandma.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Dorothy. I hope we haven't tired you out too much.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you so much, Grandma. How special it is to have you on our show.
Thank you. And thanks, Beck.
So, Ange, you got to meet Grandma.
I know what. Like, I can't believe your grandma, 99, is a sprightly, and she's got all her ducks in a row.
I know.
Still.
Yeah.
And she's an avid social media guru. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, she's so bright and just has her finger on the pulse.
She's got her own Facebook account.
Yeah.
She scrolls through.
She's
she
amazing.
comments and
yeah, she does. She comments. She's posting stuff all the time. Actually, it's such a great way for people to keep in contact with all their family as well, especially a family as big as ours. Like, she's got so many grandchildren and great-grandchildren and now great-great-grandchildren. So it's such an ideal way for her to be able to see all the photos going up all the time. It's a great way
I
to
just
keep
found it
close.
it's fascinating though, isn't it? Because she talked about her childhood, particularly her dislike of washing day.
Yeah.
I found was funny, but there was no technology about then.
No.
That they were doing everything by hand to suddenly now she's got a phone in her hand and able to communicate. Just and that evolution of just technology and just how much society has moved on.
It's mind-boggling.
It
isn't
is.
When you go back, she was born 1924, right? Next year is 2024. And back then she had to, not 1924, but when she was a teenager, she had to go to the post office once a week to make a phone call. Yeah. And that was how they communicated, as well as letters. But even just think about when Tony and I were dating, and just thinking of technology then, this is how rapidly it's increased since even how many years? 28 years, right? When we were dating, we were writing letters, handwritten letters, and posting them. That was only 28 years ago. And mobile phones were like, they look like a brick, and because they're brand new.
Yeah. I just think, like, I loved what she said, because everything I said, what's been the greatest time in your life, it was all around sort of her earlier years when there wasn't those technologies, but like all around her relationship with her husband, and clearly they had a really great, solid relationship.
They were so in love, and she is still so in love with him. Like, Grandpa was just this major figure in our lives, and still is. Like, we always acknowledge every year.
He's not here anymore, obviously, is he?
No,
I didn't ask that question, but
no, I think he may have passed away might have been 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
But he was the great love of her life, and she still loves him with all her heart.
How beautiful to have that story.
Oh, yeah.
And I think even at her age, even to remember those early courting moments, and how they used to meet up, and it was a Friday night, and what wonderful time in her life that would have been. I think I said it in the podcast, like, I think we've really spoilt something in some ways, the fact that we are so accessible now. It's kind of taken out that intentionality or the effort we need to make to really connect with people. We've made it too easy in some ways that it's almost like we could throw it away. It's a bit of a, it doesn't mean as much.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas before, you had to look forward to seeing each other, or look forward to hearing their voice, or receiving a message. And even now, like, even though Grandpa has passed on like 15 years ago, her love for him and her reflections and memories of her love for him still impacts the family of this amazing love story. And I think it's such a great model for everyone who's come after them, because we still see this beautiful love story carrying on, because she still carries this great love for Eric. And I think that's such a beautiful foundation for a family.
And you can really see that she's just very content with her life, and she said it at the end there. I've had a very happy, blessed life, and it hasn't been a life necessarily rich with travel or great careers or anything like that. She's lived a very simple life but found great fulfillment in that, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. Something we lose in our modern society now. So we can learn so much from previous generations. I think it's really important thing that we take the time to listen to those parents, grandparents, those in the generations above us, because we can learn things and take things through, pass down to the next generation, things that are valuable, like we talked about respect and things like that. And
there's a lot of wisdom in listening to the older generations, because they've got so much more life experience than we do. And it's
so easy to just write them off that they're old and they don't contribute much to society, but they so do, and they're so valuable, and we really, really need the elderly people in our life to impart their wisdom.
And she's been a major part in our churches growing up, like highly respected, her and Grandpa, very looked up to as elders in the church, and just has that amazing matriarchal, loving mother heart over so many people. I'm just really honoured to be part of that family and to know her. And she truly is one of my greatest heroes. She's an amazing woman.
I can see why.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So that's it for today's podcast. You'll find us on all the major podcast platforms. The podcasts come out every Wednesday. We'd love to hear from you on our socials, the Gold Diggers Podcast. Tell us about your story so we can find the gold in you.
Easy as pie, lemon, apple or cherry. Loving you is so very sweet, sweet, sweet. How can it be such a piece of cake? And your smile is the icing. Loving you is a party. Honey, you're my sugar.